So welcome back to Pimperville 2 Gaming. I know I haven't made a whole lot of videos recently. I haven't had a whole lot to actually make, and looks like a lot of the new games are coming out here within the next couple of months. So I'm going to be doing this video, which is on Jurassic Park Evolution 2. I've got Grand Theft Auto, the Definitive Edition, which is a remake of the three games, Grand Theft Auto 3, Vice City, and San Andreas. That'll be coming out here in a couple of days as well. So got a lot of good games coming up, and going to do this one right now. So this is Jurassic Park Evolution 2. Like I said earlier, I played the first one. I really enjoyed it, but a couple of the things I did not like. There was very limited building. You were on these islands, and you could kind of build maybe, I don't know, maybe 10 or 15 different enclosures with dinosaurs, and you ended up kind of running out of space. And I know that was kind of part of the game, and it kind of made you think, but this one kind of promised a lot more room, a lot more building, a little more, I guess, freedom in the sandbox is what it seemed like. Graphics are definitely a lot better. I wouldn't say they're great, but they're definitely better. Can't actually go over to this airport here, but it's kind of cool that you can see it. So I've done the first two missions. I did the one in Arizona, and then there was actually another one in Washington. Now I'm on Pennsylvania. The first mission is basically learning the basics of the controls. You can do building of enclosures. They kind of teach you very little bit about that. The second one, the mission, has a little bit of a story. There were some poachers. And now we're in Pennsylvania, like I said, and we're going to go ahead and build a couple of enclosures here. So what I'm going to do, we've got some dinosaurs that are inbound. So right away I can tell you I didn't like the fact, like, this is as far as I can build this gate. I thought that was kind of a negative for me personally. I was like, come on, let me build some of these just a little bit longer here. I don't know why they did that to us, but so we've got, I want to say, they said on the recording earlier when you first start this mission, I think there's like 3 or 4 different of those is it Carnotaurus there? They're coming in. So let's go ahead. If I remember correctly, they need quite a bit of space, so this actually may not even be enough. Ooh, I almost left a gap too. That would have been kind of funny. So with these, this is kind of like the electrical fence, and once I unpause, you'll be able to see it, but you can see a timer there in the lower right-hand corner of my screen, so I don't have too much time usually to do these. There's not really any bonus things, but I just like to get them done as I can. So there's a lot of cool aspects to this. I'll kind of go over this really quick. I guess kind of positive and negative depending on how you look at it, but there's a backup generator. This provides power to the buildings that need power. So I've got a range here, and it does hit the electrical fence, and that is all you need. It seems like, as far as what I played so far, is just a piece or a corner of that circle there to be within the enclosure. And you have to kind of keep filling it up, and it is extremely expensive. In fact, if I hit resupply right now and I hit fill up, you can see that's $300 and something thousand. Now I have $3 million at the start of this mission, but still that is very expensive to fill that up. So you kind of have to be a little bit careful. And this one, the arrival point, some missions I found that they'll have you build those on your own. On this one, it was actually already here. And that is just basically your ticket, your entrance area where guests will go ahead and pay. And I'll show you the breakdown of the economics and finance section here in just a second. The response facility is kind of cool. You can actually get in the helicopter here. There's a couple of things you can do with that. You can tranquilize your dinosaurs. That allows you to move them, or if they've escaped and you need to put them back into the pen, you can do that. And then you have the ranger station here, and you can see you can add task or direct control, and that's the same for the helicopter over there. It's got some really cool features on it, so I can actually get into that, and I will show you that here in just a second. But you can actually drive manually and go into the pen. Now, the ranger team does a lot of things. They'll do your status checks, so it tells you, did you build the right environment? Did you build the right enclosure for your dinosaurs? Is the enclosure big enough? Did you add enough of the, some dinosaurs, like trees, some of them like a little more open space. So did you make that well enough for them? And we have the control center over here. and that is where your scientist. Hasn't been a whole lot of actual activity with this as of yet, but this is where you'll actually do a lot of the missions, such as getting more dinosaurs. You can do the research and things like that, but I don't have all of the buildings, like I said, unlocked right now. So let's go ahead, and I need to still build a gate. These are kind of cool, I think. They're automatic gates, and I'll show you that here in a second whenever I unpause. A couple of things that you know you're going to need whenever you have a dinosaur incoming and you don't have any of the enclosures ready. You know you're going to need water. Every single dinosaur is going to need water of some sort. And then these are carnivores, so I'm going to go ahead, and I always put these fish in here. I don't know if every dinosaur eats them or not, but I put them in there. And then of course the goat, for those of you that have watched the original Jurassic Park. And then there's just, this is just literally just kind of meat that is set out on a plate for them. Now, like I said, I don't know if that's going to be big enough, but we can always add to that later. And then if you hit the touchpad, you can actually pause. You can go and speed up the game. You can do different things like that. Before I go ahead and do that, though, let me go ahead and show you some of the different things. So there's facility detail. It'll tell you your asset rating. Your asset rating is basically how many buildings do you have? How many places are there to view the dinosaurs? And I'll show you that here in just a second as well. Your approval, the park is actually not open because we don't have any dinosaurs yet, but once that gets going, your guests are basically how many dinosaurs are there, how many different varieties are there, how well are they able to see them through the observation points, and things like that are kind of affecting your approval. We have a breakdown here of our different dinosaurs. All of my dinosaurs are in good health because I don't have any. But later on, you'll kind of see you want to obviously be at 100% for all of that when you actually have dinosaurs. You can kind of see the breakdown. As I said earlier, I'm on the Pennsylvania mission. Before that was Washington, and then there was Arizona. So I'm on the third one right now. Kind of gives you a mission overview. It fails if any of the dinosaurs are killed. So you don't want to put multiple different dinosaurs in the same enclosure because a lot of times you'll start fighting. And then the finances, like I said just a minute ago, once I open this up, you'll actually see the ticket sales, I guess is for lack of a better word, and how much you're making. Now, in the previous game, if you had dinosaurs that were let loose and they started killing people, they would file lawsuits, and then you would lose a whole bunch of money there for a while, and then eventually you would start kind of making more money. But you can see right now I'm losing $35,000 per minute, but again, once, and it's basically because of the scientist wages, but once I open up that park, we should be good to go. And I'm going to go ahead and speed this up to plus or times 3. And I don't quite remember, like I said, I remember from the last minute mission, there were a couple of those types of dinosaurs that are going to be incoming here. And I can't remember if they needed certain types of trees. Like I said, some dinosaurs like a lot of open space. Some of them like a lot of forest. Some of them like the mixture. You can kind of zoom in quite a bit. Like I said, graphics aren't knock your socks off kind of thing. They're not like super great, but they are definitely a lot better than the previous game that came out. I want to say that was probably about 4 years ago when I started playing that. It was super cool. So this right here, it'll give you a lot of times when there's dinosaurs that are incoming, it's like, do you want to go ahead and transport the dinosaurs or do you need more time? And I am actually ready, so we're going to go ahead and deliver these. And it looks like there were 2 of them based on that smoke.
I'd also suggest keeping a close eye on these dinosaurs until they settle into their surroundings.
Lambert's right. They've had a taste of the wild. Confinement may not sit well with them.
Okay. We make no assumptions and pay attention to all the details.
Good. Remember, just like us, the dinosaurs are always learning.
And you need to keep that in mind as you build another dinosaur habitat. Safety first, for them and us. Get it built, then get the dinosaurs into the new enclosure. That about cover it, Doc?
Perfectly.
So the first thing you have to do is what is called a status check on the dinosaurs, and that kind of tells you, is there anything missing? Is there anything they need? How's their health? What's their enclosure like? And this is what I was talking about. This, I mean, is super, super cool. And then, as in the original game as well, you can actually take pictures of the dinosaurs, and then it actually gives you a little bit of money too. So this one was worth about $80,000 for the foundation. I think as you keep taking the same pictures, I think people kind of stop liking them as much or whatever it is. So the pictures, you don't want to keep taking the same pictures over and over again. But you get more bonuses for more dinosaurs being in there. If there's some that are fighting or some that are eating, there's all kinds of different things you can do with that as well. And status check, you want to go into aim mode there. You're going to hit your triangle button on the PS5 and do a status check. So he is missing some sand, so they do need some sand in that environment, and I'll show you that. But other than that, it sounds like they may actually be good. And he is locked onto me right now. This is kind of cool. Earlier, a dinosaur actually like basically headbutted my truck, and the door fell off, and it was super cool. Like, definitely a really, really neat aspect of the game is that you can do this. The other kind of thing is, you know, you drive around for a lot and you're like, okay, this was cool for a while, but I'm kind of tired of manually doing this all the time. You can actually get out of this mode, and you can actually click on the building over here, and you can actually add task and do all of this stuff automatically. You can actually click on the dinosaur, and then it will actually automate it. So you can do things manually. You can do them if you want. You don't have to. And then same thing with the helicopter over here. You can actually take direct control. You can fly it. You can automate the darts, which are the tranquilizer darts over here. But I can aim this right now, and I can actually do this myself, and I could actually tranquilize this dinosaur. Now, they usually stay out for, I think it's like 2 to 3 minutes once you tranquilize them, but I'm not going to do that right now. But it's kind of neat. Like I said, you can kind of take control, you can shoot, you can do all kinds of stuff. If you didn't want to do it, but you still wanted to fly the helicopter manually but not shoot it, you can actually lock on with R3. There's a lot of cool aspects of that. So we didn't do one thing, and that was to give the proper environment. And I wasn't actually sure what it is because you don't know until you kind of look at it. But if you click on the dinosaur here, the territory needs, you can see we have no sand, and they need a lot of sand. Apparently, we have a lot of grass. And if they get mad, they're going to start busting the fence, like you can see here. Now, thankfully, I don't think we had any guests right now, but they start escaping if they get all mad. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pause it. And in the environment here, it's kind of weird. It's under the paint, but they need sand. And then the cool thing that they added in this game was you can actually increase or decrease the radius of the sand that was kind of needed. So we're going to go ahead, and we need a lot of sand in here because we were missing that. Okay. Now they shouldn't be too mad, I guess, after we fix it. So what the cool thing is again, whenever the fences are broken, you can manually drive and you can fix these fences. I'm actually going to do this automatically for right now, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to repair this because sometimes when the dinosaurs are right in the middle of the fence, it won't let you do it. And then I'm going to go ahead and unpause, and then I'll show you actually the helicopter automatic tranquilizer. So there we go. I can trank this one, trank that one, and then we're going to transport them and put them back into the enclosure. Now, hopefully once we get the sand down, they won't be so agitated, because when dinosaurs are unhappy, that's kind of what makes them get out of their fencing. I kind of wish there was like a different, I don't know, way that they couldn't bust down, like you had better fences. But even in the last game, you could build like the best fences in the entire game, and they'd still break right out of them. So now we need a viewing facility is what it's saying there, and that is for your park guests to be able to view the dinosaur. Now it needs two things. You got to connect it to the path here. And let's see. It's kind of weird how they have you connect them. But yeah, you have to connect it to a path, and then it has to be where the window, because I put them backwards before on accident, and that happened the last game as well. But what it is you want to make sure that the park guests can see the dinosaurs and that you're parking the right way, because you can actually put these in backwards. All right, so now that the dinosaurs are tranquilized and there is a timer on this, we can actually put these back into their cage.
Heading to collect the asset.
And with that, I will go ahead and speed up the game. Now you can see on the mission there in the bottom right-hand corner, you have to ensure that the dinosaur, this particular one, has an 80% comfort level. And I think once we change the environment to sand, we actually should be able to get that up. So it looks like the only thing that we're missing is the prey. Now, the task here, and what I can do is actually build what they call a ranger post. And with this ranger post, you can actually automate a lot of the tasks as far as like refueling, resupplying the food, and all that kind of stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to resupply. And then assign the ranger to that post, and they'll automatically kind of take care of that enclosure. Now later on, I can't remember how many off the top of my head, but I think each ranger post could have, like, once you upgraded it later in the game, they could do 4 different tasks. So basically one ranger station could take care of 4 different enclosures. Now, in this game, I don't know how many they're allowed to do per one facility. Now, the bad thing about that was, like I said, you only had so much space in the original game. So once you ran out of space, and if that was built with all buildings or whatever it may be, so you kind of were like, I don't know if I really want to build too many more enclosures, because that means I got to build more buildings to support them. So it was kind of a balancing act there. And you do have a perimeter. Let me see. So this white line is our border. So we can basically build, and I'm going to need more time on this one. Oh, and I know exactly why, because I had it on ×3. So this is the boundary. This is our build zone. It doesn't look like, at least in the story mode, that there is anything that you can do about that. You can't add land later on. You can't buy any. Like I said, this is the story mode. So I don't know if there's anything in Sandbox right now, but that would be cool. I know other games, like older games, like Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, which is actually a great game, classic game, but that one actually had an ability where you could expand your park and you could actually buy more land and things like that. Now, if I remember correctly, this dinosaur needs a lot more space, so this is probably about 1.5 to 2 times the size of the original one I did, but these dinosaurs do require a lot more space. And they like a mixture of forest and I'm trying to remember what else it was. I think it was just open space. So I'm going to go ahead and put that lake in there, and then let's go ahead and maybe I'll do like half right in there. And then, again, the carnivore. And if I remember reading correctly, I think the Allosaurus actually had, and I could be wrong, but I'm almost positive, they actually had one of the strongest bites, even more so than T-Rex. I think they're a little bit smaller than T-Rex, but I think they have one of the most powerful bites of any creature that's ever lived, basically. It's kind of crazy to think about. Now I'm going to go ahead and ×3, get that delivery down. And, oh, you know what I need? Well, I need 2 things. One, I need a gate. And I think I usually try to put these ranger stations, because you can see the range. Whenever it incorporates like 2 to 3 different enclosures there, I think it automates, and I'm hoping it does more than one, because as long as it's in that radius, I think the ranger will automatically come through. So I'm going to test that out. And then you want to make sure you have an enclosure. And you can see, go ahead and transport dinosaur. And you can see when I went to go put that in, you can actually put that in backwards. So that you see the path is actually going into the dinosaur enclosure, and we actually don't want that. We want it to go outside of it. And I'm going to go ahead and actually delete this path because I realized it's a little bit too close and I can't build my viewing facility. All right. And that kind of works out well because actually that viewing facility can actually see into the other dinosaur enclosure, which is kind of nice. I was like, why is there a huge open hole where that dinosaur could get out? Okay, and then of course, once that dinosaur gets delivered, we're going to have to do a status check, make sure that we did everything okay with their enclosure. And basically, if I remember correctly, there's going to be a lot of different dinosaurs coming inbound in this mission. They basically said every dinosaur that you've had, and there's only been like 4 or 5 different dinosaurs that I've came across so far. So, but they're going to basically be airdropping them in. So, go ahead and transport them in.
Transporting asset. I'm not sure I'll ever be fully comfortable at the park, but the lab coats want to make sure the dinosaurs are, so that's a job you should stay on top of. Delivery has been completed.
So I built this enclosure obviously really, really well because they're at 100% comfort, and that's obviously what you want. I'm going to go ahead and automate the status check on this one. Missing prey. Now you should have your prey. And so food, water. Sometimes they like a lot of rocks as well, but it looks like we've got plenty of the open space, plenty of the forest, so we're actually good. We actually did everything. And then you see at the top, so it says ALL-001, and it says Allosaurus. It's a meat eater, and then it has a crown on it. That usually is a good indication that you're going to have a nice bit of people coming into your park to view that dinosaur. So it's a big money maker when you see that symbol as well.
The dinosaurs seem to be taking to their new surroundings. I want to make sure they are doing more than surviving, however. We need the animals thriving. As I'm sure you understand, our research is more valuable when we have superior specimens in their optimal conditions. So I want you to get a science center built and operational. This means more scientists will be needed, so build a staff center as well. Ultimately, science is about the data we collect and analyze. Rubbish in, rubbish out. We want to avoid that at all costs, especially when you consider the investment that has already been made in these dinosaurs. The CIA wants results, and we're going to get them. Period. Full stop. End of story.
So basically there's a division within the CIA, and they're really interested in these dinosaurs. And we're kind of doing a lot of the missions for them right now. So before, in the previous few missions, we actually didn't have a whole lot of these buildings unlocked. So now they're all unlocked. So now we have the Science Center. This actually allows you to start the getting more dinosaurs. You can actually start digging for them, and there's like DNA sequences within the amber. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then I try to build these, like I said, as close as you can, because you are limited on space even in this new game. Even though there is a little more, there's still limited. And what did I need? A staff center. I can probably squeeze that one right in here. and then a paleo medical facility. In the last game, there was, or my last mission, there was actually an Allosaurus, and it got hurt. It had like a broken leg or something, and I actually had to repair that, and it was this paleo medical center. What I had to do is tranquilize it and then transport it into the, you'll see like a little square pad area where they will perform the medical, whatever procedure is needed, and that is what was needed, I guess. And it was a broken leg, and they don't actually show a lot of the animations for what it was. The dinosaur was just laying there, but I'll show you where that was at once this gets built. It was in this gray little pad or brown pad, whatever you want to call it, this square pad.
We could really use an expedition center. Get one built.
All right, so this fuel, we have 15 of 300 right now, so I'm going to go ahead and fill that up. It's going to cost me about $440,000, but we're definitely going to need it because we have a lot more facilities using power at this point. We need an operational expedition center. Okay. A lot of times I like to confine the buildings in just kind of one building alley, I guess, if you want to call it. So let's go ahead. I think I'm going to go ahead and backtrack, and we'll build it over here. Okay, I was able to squeeze that one right in there. And then we just need to make the path. I would show you a lot of the dinosaurs fighting because it is pretty cool. I'll have to do that in Sandbox in a later video. But if I were to actually open up these gates right over here, a lot of times these Carnotaurus dinosaurs here, they will actually team up and fight the Allosaurus, and it's pretty wild to see. Or you can put the plant eaters in with the meat eaters, and it's really kind of neat to see that. And I'll have to try to make another video of just maybe dinosaur fights or something. I don't know, but it's pretty cool. Let's go ahead and go to the incident. So this is, there have been some sightings near St. Louis. All right, I'll have to tell a friend of mine that lives near there. There's some dinosaurs on the loose. So here, I've already hired these two scientists from a previous mission. They actually work at the Science Center or Expedition Center. I can't remember which one it is now, but you can actually select them for different missions, and the higher their skill is, the better it can be. I can go ahead, or the better the outcome, or whatever it may be. I'm going to go ahead and just go ahead and use both of them because they're not actually doing anything else at the moment. And then I'll go ahead and start task.
Okay, the good news first. We've been achieving some success with our remote capture teams, which means a steady supply of dinosaurs to our control center. Now that I like. Removing them from possible uncontrolled interaction with the general public is a 100% win in my book. Now to the bad news, which I always hate getting, but honestly, kind of enjoy giving. These animals are arriving with an unknown disease, and we've got to get a handle on it post-haste. That's management speak for PDQ, huh? Pretty damn quick. Dr. Dua?
We can diagnose this disease with scans from our mobile veterinary unit. We'll get it under control before too long.
That's good. Let's get to work.
Now, another thing I noticed in the game I was going to show before I stopped the video is that there seems to be some things that they probably are going to end up patching, but you can actually go right through these trees. It's kind of wild, but there is no, I don't even know what you call it. You can't hit the trees. Now I can go over here and I'll hit this building, And so, yeah, that was exactly what I thought. So that ranger will actually automatically refill everything as long as that beacon is in that range that I was showing you earlier. So he just went in that second range. Now I can run into this building over here. Oh, there's a porta potty. I didn't even know that. Now I can run into those, but I can't run into the trees for some reason. And if I smash this hard enough, there is like things that'll start falling off of my van or truck or whatever I happen to be riding at the time. But I must not have hit it that far. But I've had like doors fall off and stuff like that when the dinosaurs were ramming the side of it. Stuff like that. It was kind of cool. But I don't know. Sometimes you can actually in the previous game, if you actually hurt a guest, you would actually get a lawsuit. But I don't think you can hit them because I just tried to do it there. Okay, looks like they captured these dinosaurs, and they've got 2 of them inbound, but I am going to go ahead and wait because I don't have the enclosure built yet. But that'll be the 3rd enclosure, and if I do this correctly, because of this ranger station right here, it's got a nice wide range, I could probably squeeze out 4 enclosures, and just 1 ranger can actually go and do all of them, which is kind of nice. So with that, but I'm going to go ahead and build that. I think I'm going to go ahead and cut this video off right here, but this is a little bit of the Pennsylvania mission, and then there's a lot of obviously things I'm going to be uncovering here pretty soon with the sandbox mode and all the different buildings. But so far, I think I can definitely say it's an improvement graphically. It's a lot more animations. There's a lot more obviously involved in the game. It seems pretty cool so far. Definitely enjoyed the first one, so I'll be excited to make a little more progress in the game. But I appreciate it for watching, and like I said, got quite a few videos in the works here, and a lot more games are upcoming that are worthy of playing. So thanks for watching. Bye.